right now, I got to tell you, I can't. I'm beside myself. I'm so honored that we have with us on the program Leo Thorsness, author of Surviving Hell, a POW's Journey. And Mr. Thorsness, thank you so much, sir, for your time tonight.
I'm honored to be with you. Thanks.
I read your book last week. I said I sat down and I was planning on reading about 30 or 40 pages of it and then putting it down and picking it back up, and I couldn't stop until I had finished the entire thing.
I'm complimented. Thank you. Appreciate that.
This book is so amazing, and your story is so amazing. You are a Medal of Honor recipient, and you were awarded the Medal of Honor for actions not during your time as a POW, but for a mission that you flew, 9 days before you were shot down?
That's correct.
And then the story that you tell starts with this mission, goes into the shooting down of your plane, again in a mission that I think was certainly worthy of recognition as well. And then you talk about that special hell that you went through for 6 years. And I have to say, Mr. Thorsness, the thing that I took away more than anything from your book is that no matter what obstacles are placed in your way, if you search yourself hard enough and long enough, that you can find a way to get through it. You clearly have found a way to get through something that most of us, thank God, will never, ever have to go through, nor could we imagine going through what you went through. How did you do it?
Well, maybe the short answer is two. One is you do what you have to do, and two, you break the time down. At the most amount of time I ever took was a day. If you're in torture, you're by yourself, you don't have a clock, but you say, I think I can make another 2 minutes, or I think I can last another minute or whatever. Just like you've heard people say, going through hard times, be it divorce or death or finance, take it a day at a time. And that is, and then we were blessed with more than our share of really good people. I had a guy take torture for me one time, and he thought I wasn't going to last another day, and he just took it upon himself. And you know, people like that. I'm a Christian, so I don't say it was the last thing, but when times got bad, I didn't think I was going to make it. There were some my prayers were answered. So I was just a guy that got stuck in the wrong place, but a lot of us did. And the biggest lesson I got from it, simple. In this about 30 years, some years I've been home now, I've never had a bad day. So that's pretty valuable.
You know, you tell a story of you and some of your fellow POWs who were holding a church service, which was, it seems to me like you guys were never quite sure what was allowed and what wasn't, and that was probably part of the psychological torture. So during this church service, you start reciting the Lord's Prayer, and the individual who had started it was taken out by the guards, right?
He was taken to Heartbreak, which is our name for the small cell block, but it was torture cells, yes.
And then somebody else stands up and recites the second line.
Yeah, the second guy stands up and we start over, and we got just a few lines into it, and they grabbed him and hauled him to Heartbreak. The third guy stands up, same thing, got maybe 2 lines. The fourth guy got probably Our Father who art in heaven. It was the loudest first lines I've ever heard, or first line, because we were totally drowning out the interrogator who was hollering, stop, stop. And there were about a dozen guards in this big cell, and they were running around hitting people with guns and so on. And the fifth guy very slowly walked towards the third cell to start over again. And we'd gone through. We knew our hierarchy in the cell, and we'd agreed to do this. But I'm beginning to question the plan. I'm number 7. No, we were all ready. But anyway, just before he got there, we never figured out. But it was just chaos. And all of a sudden, before he got to the side of the cell, walking slowly, it just sort of became like pin drop quiet in there. And the interrogator, the guard, leaders of the guard said to the troops something we didn't real know. Said something like, "This isn't working. Let's get out of here. We'll try something later." And they went out. They hit some more people on the way out. They put 5 people in torture. They all survived. And from that Sunday on until they came home, we held church. And it's so vivid to me yet because they held all the aces. Somehow, the Lord is on our side that day, and it was just a phenomenal victory we held.
Well, they say the Lord helps those who help themselves, and it seems to me like you all helped yourselves that day by standing up and being strong and persevering, and again, just showing that dignity and that quiet strength that even your captors could not avoid recognizing. The other thing that I wanted to ask you about was, even when you were in solitary confinement, Mr. Thorsness, it seems to me like one of the things that was instrumental in you surviving was the presence of others, the presence of your comrades.
Yeah, without question. As you saw in that book, there was a little tap code we designed over there, and you tap real quietly on the wall. If you put your ear on the other side of the wall, it's concrete, and I tap quietly, you can hear me, and the guard outside can't. Once in a while they catch you, and then they beat you badly when they hear any sound from your cell. But at times it was life and death that you had to communicate. Number one, because if they torture you today and it's my turn tomorrow, and you can get to the wall and tell me what did they want, did they break you, what kind of torture did they use, and so on, what lies did you tell? It may make a difference tomorrow if I live or die, knowing that information. But also, it's just if you can communicate with someone, even if you're at night, you get next to the wall if you could, if you weren't in stocks, you just let it, and you tap quietly on the cell, GBU. And the guy on the other side, if he can get to the wall, he tapped back to you, GBU, GN. God bless you, and he tapped, God bless you, good night. And you don't know how meaningful that is, solitary confinement, when you know that there's a man right near the wall that you're on the same side. It was just, communication was absolutely essential.
Mr. Thorsness, the NRA has a program called Refuse to be a Victim that just, teaches some common sense tips on how to avoid being safe. I think that it's a great program. I think it's also a great idea and a great philosophy to have. Did you ever feel like you were a victim of circumstances or whatever? And if so, I mean, what did you allow yourself to think? Did you allow yourself to think of yourself as a victim?
Not really. The only time we thought, how in the world did we end up here was, well, not that question, but what's going on about our country? President Johnson and Robert McNamara, President and Secretary of Defense, they're probably nice fellows to live next to, but they were the most incompetent people I know of to run a war. We never went to win. And when they stopped the bombing, as you know, the war in Vietnam, there are two wars. South Vietnam, we fought the bad guys. North Vietnam, people like me, aviators, we tried to stop the supplies from getting down there. So everybody in North Vietnam was an aviator. And the only war in North Vietnam was the air war. And when Johnson and McNamara stopped bombing for years, and there were 350 of us already there, we sat there day after month after year thinking, the only lever they had to get us out was the bombing, and they gave up that only lever. That was the most devastating part we had up there, thinking, has our country written us off? Or are they just going to let us sit here?
Yeah.
That was hard. That was hard.
And
we were American. Yeah.
Well, and I was going to say, and you talk about the effect that the North Vietnamese knew that this propaganda war was having on America. Jane Fonda's infamous visit to North Vietnam, for instance.
Right. Right.
And that definitely played a role in their tactical decision making. I mean, they really thought, okay, well, as long as we hold out long enough, the public opinion will change in the United States, and we can win a war of attrition, virtually, in essence.
Absolutely. I was told by interrogators more than once during torture sessions or whatever, I was told, we know we cannot defeat you in the jungles of Vietnam, but we will win this war on the streets in San Francisco, New York, Washington, so on. They were very aware of what was going on, and as the more anti-war grew, the more it emboldened them, to hang in there, knowing that eventually we're going to quit, or we're going to, thank God for Nixon. We came in on Christmas of '72 and put the B-52s in there, and that brought them to the table, and of course, that ended it, and we didn't win, but maybe we didn't lose. It was a tough war. Bad decision. In hindsight, in my view, we should not have been there. I do not think it was in our national security interest to be there, but we were there, and as American fighting men, your government calls, you go.
Yeah. Your book is described in the foreword by Scott Johnson as a self-help book. Do you see your book as a self-help book?
Well, it's just I don't know if it is. I hope it is. But I wrote it. It started out as a lyric to my two granddaughters. They were 8 and 10. I was going to tell them what their grandpa did. It got too long. So someone said, I know a publisher, and he published it, and they said, if you'll put something about torture in there, we'll publish it. And they wanted torture because I said, that's been written about when people first came home, and they said, yes, but if people don't go back and read even recent history, they'll think Abu Ghraib and Gitmo is full of torture. So that's what, but anyway, it turned out sort of like that. The most common remark I get is, every high school kid should read this. I was proud of that.
I would agree with that. As a matter of fact, I think not just every high school kid. This is one of those books, Mr. Thorsness. I would have absolutely no problem if every American read your book. I was just honestly it's a life-changing book to
Well,
recognize
I do
you.
appreciate that.
Well,
I do appreciate that.
not nearly as much as I appreciate you and what you've done for this country and all of us, sir. Listen,
Well, thank you.
Well, thank you for coming on the program. As I said, it is an honor to get a chance to talk with you, and I hope that we can do it again in the future.
I hope so. You're very gracious. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Leo Thorsness,
bye-bye.
the author of Surviving Hell, a POW's Journey.